Okay, so in this book, it talks about a man named Wesley Harris, right? Wesley Harris. Wesley Harris escaped to freedom on the Underground Railroad in the 1850s, around 1857. Check this out. A day came where the overseer of the plantation wanted to flog Wesley for some reason. Wesley said he wasn't having it. He just didn't feel like being flogged that day. So when the overseer approached him to flog him, he said he resisted. He beat up the overseer. Bing, 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 bing. He beat up the overseer, took the whip, the belt, the leather, whatever the overseer was going to use to flog him, and he bam, 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 bam. He flogged the overseer. I can imagine it probably looked something like that movie Django, when Django got that whip, you know what I mean? When Django got that whip and he had on that bright colored outfit, he just got the whooping that white guy, bow, 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 beating him. I imagine it looks something like that. That's what Wesley say happened. So because of that, the plantation owner, the person that owned Wesley, decided to sell him off, right? But he didn't want to sell him off until the end of December when his contract was up. So what happened was Wesley not wanting to be enslaved any longer, and he was basically saying like, well, if this guy's going to sell me in December anyway, I'm tired of this slavery anyway, I'm just going to make an escape. I'm just going to try to get away. He felt like anything would be better than slavery. So about 3 other guys on the plantation decided to escape with Wesley. So one night they all get together. They run off into the woods, right? They run off into the woods. Now, they don't know how to get on the Underground Railroad at this point. They're just running. So he says that while they're out in the woods and while they're making their escape, they're hiding on the side of a road, close by a road one day. And a white man comes walking up. He's walking his dog. The dog catches their scent, start barking and pulling his owner in the direction of where they are hiding. So when the white guy with the dog, when he gets to them where the dog is alerting him to look, he sees four African Americans in the trees. So he stops and he was like, hey, whoa, what are you Negroes doing out here? What's going on? So at first they tried to lie and said that they were on a mission from their plantation going to go pick up some things for their master. So the white guy asked for their papers, their traveling papers. They said that they didn't have any. So the next thing that happened is the white guy with the dog, he asked them, were they escaping Negroes? Were they runaways? And the Wesley and his companions, not knowing how to respond, they just stood there for a while. So the white guy tells them, don't worry, I'm an abolitionist, right? Don't worry, I'm not into slavery. If you guys are trying to get to freedom, I can help you get to freedom. I know how you can get on the Underground Railroad. So not really believing him, but sort of believing him, and just really wanting the way out, looking for some help, they believe the guy. So the white guy tells them, come with me. He takes them to a barn. They go inside of the barn. The white man, he fixes them breakfast. They eat the breakfast, and he tells them that they can stay there for the day. And the following day, he said that he will give them directions on where they could go to get to freedom and show them how to follow the North Star, etc. So, inside of a barn, there's the thing called a loft. It's like a level that's like the second story of the barn where you can climb up a ladder and go up there, right? So Wesley says that him and his companions went up on the loft. So they were up on the loft. They were chilling, relaxing, taking a nap. He says he was woke and he began to hear voices speaking outside the barn. He says at this point, he felt like the owner of the barn had sold them out. So he woke up his companions and he was like, hey, man, the dude sold us out and some people outside to get us. So at that point, boom, the door opens up and 8 white men walk inside of the barn. All 8 of them are armed. So they see this and they're like, oh crap, they got us cornered. So 2 of the white guys, they start searching the barn. They eventually get up to the loft. They see Wesley and his companions. So they're like, hey, we got four Negroes up here. So they pull out their guns. They command them to come down. So Wesley and his companions, they come down. And the white men ask them, basically like, are y'all runaways? Where have y'all come from? So they're basically talking back and forth. And one of the African Americans, one of the runaways that was with Wesley right? One of the runaways that was with Wesley, I guess he got tired of talking. You know, you can imagine being in a situation like that. I would imagine everybody was saying how they would rather die than be a slave than not going back to the plantation. If anything happens, then it's just going to be the last stand, etc., etc., etc. So he must have really meant this, okay? So Wesley is talking back and forth with one of the white guys. They're talking about taking them down to the prison to lock them up until they find out what's going on with them. And Wesley is trying to tell him that they're not going back into slavery and they're definitely not going to no prison. So the other guy that was with Wesley, I forget his name at the moment, forgive me, but you can get it from the Underground Railroad Records by William Steele, okay? And what he does is he looks around and he says, where's that guy that sold us out? Where is the man that sold us out? Talking about the barn owner. They believe that the man that led them to the barn had sold them out for some type of reward money. He just wanted to get them corralled inside of that barn. So he notices the guy, the barn owner, standing off in the corner somewhere. So when he spots him, he pulls out his pistol. Yes, they were strapped. I didn't know that neither until this moment in the story. He pulls out his pistol, points it at the barn owner, boom, blows his head off. Dead. Right there. No more talk, no more games. So when he blows the barn owner's head off, the white guys raise their guns. Wesley, he pulls out his pistol. The guy that just killed the barn owner, he already has his pistol out. Shootout ensues in the middle of the barn. Bah, 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 boom, 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 bah, 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 bah. It's going down. Crazy part, I told you, it was 4 of them. So Wesley and one guy, they're having a shootout with the 8 white men. The other 2 brothers that had escaped with Wesley, they're standing off to the side, hands up. They don't want no parts of it. They never pulled out their pistols. They didn't do no fighting. They just watched the gun battle unfold. So Wesley say, a couple of the white guys got dropped. They got killed. They got wounded. The guy that shot the dude in the head, I believe he got killed too. And Wesley, he ended up getting hit. He said he got hit a few times, but primarily in his left arm, right? He got hit in his left arm several times. And he said it took out chunks of flesh to where you could literally like see his bone in certain places. So he get hit. Wesley get hit. He busted. Boom, 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 boom. He get hit. Bow, 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 bow. He drop his pistol. He fall to the ground. So what ends up happening is one guy got killed. Wesley and the other guys who didn't do anything, they get carried off to prison. In prison, they're wrapping him up with bandages and they're trying to keep him alive or whatever. And they're basically waiting to punish them or send them back where they came from, or deal with them in the courts and probably cut their skin off, set them on, burn them alive. It was some real sick practices going on back then. But what happens is the white guys, they are sending black people, African Americans, in to dress the wounds of Wesley. And so while they're coming in there dressing the wounds of Wesley, Wesley is talking to them. And it just so happened one of the black people knew how Wesley could get on the Underground Railroad. So he comes up with another escape plan. Later on, one night when nobody's really paying attention, he jumps out a window of the building that they have him housed in. He's some kind of way. He gets out the window, jumps out the window, and he runs off into the night. He runs off into the woods. When he runs off into the woods, he goes to the designated location that he designated with one of the black people that were coming in that were wrapping his arm. And that guy has like a horse and a cart that he's pulling. Wesley jumps on the cart, covers himself up. The guy on the horse, takes off into the night. So the black guy on the horse, takes off into the night, takes Wesley to the home of a abolitionist who is part of the Underground Railroad system of getting free. So from there, he makes it all the way to Philadelphia. This is how he ran across the great man William Steele, and his story was able to be documented. And from Philadelphia, Wesley eventually went to Canada because he felt like he could have a better life in Canada as opposed to the northern United States. And he actually wrote a letter back from Canada to Wesley Steele telling him how he was doing. And so this is one of the stories that you really don't hear about too often. We hear about people on the Underground Railroad, we hear about slaves getting free, but we don't really hear about shootouts. And I'm gonna tell you something. That's not the only shootout described in this book. The Underground Railroad is not what you think it is. It was a lot more going on than you might think it is. People were coming up dead. People were having shootouts. Runaways were getting captured and brought back. It was wild. But this is Wesley Harris, The Underground Railroad Records by William Steele, man who is beat up his overseer, escaped to slavery, got captured, had a shootout, killed some people, escaped from jail, made it to Philadelphia, then escaped all the way to Canada and lived to tell the tale. So if you guys are looking for a great read about the Underground Railroad, the Underground Railroad Records, written by actual people who went on the Underground Railroad, is probably one of the best resources that you can use. Thanks for watching. This is Matthew Daniels, the Real Bookworm. I'm out. Hotep. Y'all have a good day.